stops us from, devolving into this.
Wow. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, and you heard my name. My name's Wes. I go by Dry Socket Online. And I also work on the workshop with her. Yes, okay, we've covered that. Your turn.
Hi, I'm Rami Ismail. I'm one of the Dutch independent studio founder. We make games about explosions mostly, even if we make fishing games for some reason. We live streamed our development for our game Nuclear Throne. Every week we do 2 live streams and then we push an update every Saturday. So we've been doing this for 64 weeks now, which is 128 development live streams, and it's been really, really fun.
Hi, I'm Rachel Brown. I'm a designer at Insomniac Games, and I worked on Resistance 3 and Sunset Overdrive, but last year I ran a small experimental endeavor at Insomniac to do a small game with 5 people called Slow Down Devil, which we did live streaming all throughout the summer and fall and development meetings once a week. And yeah, the streaming is awesome.
I'm Sean Baptiste from Fireworks Games. I'm a designer and a community manager and marketing, and basically everything that needs to get done kind of around the place. We started leaning heavily into dev streaming in the beginning of 2013. We do 8 shows a week, and we've been doing it for like a couple of years now, and it's fantastic. It's the best thing ever.
So we're streaming this video.
Oh yeah, we're live now too on the internet, which is kind of neat. I'm not paying much attention to the internet itself right now, but hey guys, how's it going? So yeah, thank you everyone for making it here today. I guess if it's all right, I prepared a few questions. So I'm gonna towards the end of the panel, we'll open the microphone, and anyone who feels like asking questions can ask questions. But I have a few first, and I am at the podium, so I'm going to ask them. What inspired you guys to start streaming? Like, where were you when you stepped over that threshold and decided, yes, this is something I'm going to do?
Well, I know when I decided to start streaming, we don't have the presence that these guys do as far as the streaming goes. But I noticed that a lot of people at what was it, TIF3, the international 3 for Dota, knew who the artists were who were making the cosmetics and the really famous artists and all that. And I kind of wondered why. And it was exactly live streaming. They go into the streams and they keep the people company, so they treat them as friends, which is something that I really like. And that's kind of when I decided that I needed to get into it, because I'm like, oh, well, these people are really friendly and they know who you are, but Dota's kind of a scary place sometimes. So.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of just being able to interaction with people in person at the events that we had gone to, and I was like, oh, these dudes are cool, and they can watch us work, and because they had a lot of questions about our process and how we do what we do and what it's all about. So it seems like a nice way to engage with them.
Yeah, I think for us it was we've been interested in live streaming for a while. It's been always I make video games, and video games are for such a large part about interaction, and Twitch just seemed like such an extension of that be able to talk to the people that play our game. So we first got introduced to live streaming back actually here at PAX, when one of the Twitch folks said hi and said hey, we do this thing called live streaming. It's like YouTube but live, and the comments happen live as well, and it was a really good pitch. And I said, well, I'll give you some Steam keys and have fun with that. And then they reached out to us and said, hey, that was really cool. Do you want to try this live streaming thing? We're like, sure. So we tried it a bunch, and we didn't really seriously get started with it until the Mojam Humble Jam 2 years ago, when we made a little prototype called Wasteland Kings, and we had to live stream the development of that, and that turned out to be so much fun, and we got so many interesting and weird and sort of embarrassing questions from the chat every now and then that we decided to just keep doing that, because it was clear that there was a need for, or there was a demand from people to know how games get made. And we made games, so we thought, well, we can do that. Let's see what fun questions we get next.
I started live streaming since Sky. Basically, you guys gave a talk at GDC last year about the whole live streaming endeavor, and I watched it. I was like, that's important. I'm really, really into letting people in on seeing how games are made and just the development process, because there's so many strange insights that people have that I never connected until they've asked me these questions or said they've expressed thoughts at things that they had no idea about development, and that was really exciting to me. And so I was like, I want to do that, and since I'm a troublemaker at work, I was like, hey, let's do this. And then it's a little different coming from a big AAA studio where open development is not a normal thing. They're like, okay, Lisa, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, this is important. Let's do this. And like, all right, we trust you. Go with it. So that was kind of exciting to me to try and inspired to try and figure out how to make it work at a bigger studio. But and then I warmed up a bit doing dev streaming for things like Beam Jams just to see how it would go, because I wasn't really sure. But I had such a positive experience with it. I was like, yes, we need to do this. It'd be awesome.
I had hosted the Harmonics livecast for a while, the weekly livecast, but then I moved over to Firehouse Games, and I became kind of like the head of making sure people saw our games, and I had to do that with no budget. So I needed a marketing tool that cost literally no money, and live streaming was perfect for that, and we were able to build up an audience over time. Like I said, 8 shows a week. We do a daily show that's about where we invite stand-up comedians to come in and play video games with us, which seems largely unrelated to what we do, but it's wicked fun. It's just the best. So so we've kind of been adapting how we do. We do dev streams where people are like, we're actually showing actual development of like cat lateral damage. Then we do the live stream with the comedians for Let's Quip, and we show up other people's games too. We invite other independent developers to come on and show their games on our show. Kind of build a spotlight and then kind of share the spotlight. So.
Thank you, guys. You mentioned earlier that like the online community seemed cool. Seemed like something that you might want to try out. The creative process, there are like parts of it that that's that step like represents a genuine risk. This is actually not even leading into a question. I just neglected earlier. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm a mess. No, actually, I was going to use that to segue. I was going to switch over the art to showcase some of the works that you've done. I will do that now. And I just wanted you guys to know that what we'll be seeing on screen here are the works of Shaylin and Wes. So when you decided to take that jump, and it isn't just a question for you guys, I was just oriented in this direction for whatever reason. How did your first stream go when you pulled the trigger, hit broadcast?
Bad.
Universally bad.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh wow. Okay.
No, ours was terrible. It was great. We streamed for like 45 minutes. Our camera was really poor. I think the microphone was off for the first 15. We didn't know to look at the chat. Actually, learning to read chat while streaming is kind of hard. It takes a while before that becomes second nature, where you just like sort of glance over and go like, okay, that looks interesting. Let's just ignore the 400 emojis that somebody just posted. That was really sort of an art that we didn't quite read. It took us a few months to understand that streaming is like pretty emotional, hard work. Like it's really draining. Making a game is really draining, and then making a game while trying to talk and engage and like just explain what you're doing is like 4 times as tiring. So the first few times we were just completely unprepared, and we just sat there being like, yeah, we make games. Yes. Cool, right? Anybody?
I think for us, the first couple, we were still unsure of what exactly the format was going to be, so it was a little flailing. We were just sort of trying to figure it out as we went. But I think that, I remember the first stream being really weird because you have this sense that there are all these people watching, but it's really just you and the camera and the microphone, and so it doesn't feel like you can't see your audience, and you're just like, I'm just talking. I don't know if anyone's listening, but I'm just talking. It's very strange. But I think I remember the biggest fear being like, oh God, is the audio set up correctly? Oh God. We had
I'm still terrified.
yeah, that's like the biggest fear every single time with the stream. Like the thing I get nervous about is like, I do not know if the audio's not set up correctly.
We should just talk to the people that make those programs and just have them put like a really big, are you sure you want to stream without audio?
Yeah. But for us, like I said, I watched a lot of other people do dev streams and sort of watch what worked for them and what the biggest challenges were. So for like us, we had someone in the chat watching for questions and copying them over into a Google Doc for us just to make sure we didn't miss any questions, because that like hurts your heart when you're in a dev stream, you ask a question and it goes and gets lost. So we had someone in there sort of making sure nothing got dropped, which helped a lot because it does take a lot of time to get used to checking the chat while we're working.
Our first stream was like a week worth of finding out how low our upload speed was at Firefox. That was not a thing we ever used. That was just not like part of it. So we were like, oh, this is from like 1991. This is like a 2400 baud up speed. This is terrible. And that took a little while to update. But once we got that going, then we had to deal with all the microphone issues. So it was really about, I would say, it was 2 months of really shitty streams before we started kind of getting it. I think I watched a lot of those. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it's like it takes a little bit of time to like really, because you start off with only problems, and then each time you stream, you strip away one of those problems,
exactly.
Until eventually, like 3 months in, you've been doing this every day, and you're like, no, that was the first good one. All right, so
I don't mean to cut you guys off, but do you ever go back and watch your streams? Like,
oh God, no.
Oh yeah. I totally do that.
I was in a car accident once. I also don't go back and look at that.
No, I actually go and do that every now and then to make myself feel better. It's really.
It went better than I think.
I mean, I also still watch my first public speaking thing, and it's like watching how you go from not being good at something to, at least having a basic understanding of something is actually, I think it's really satisfying. It's like, oh look, I'm not a complete sucker anymore. This is kind of nice. And then you fuck up another stream and you just go back to feeling really sad about it. For now, we've had like a pretty serious streak of okay to good streams, so we're
The last
happy.
couple of weeks have been real decent.
Thanks. Real decent. That's a box quote.
so I
Seven
didn't
out
mean
of
to
10.
cut you guys off. I don't know, for me personally, there's just something very important about the first stream, because it's a tipping point. Like it's the one with like the highest risk, like as everyone has been saying about like all these factors that are just the most could go wrong. There's the most unknown. So I would like to hear your guys' answers.
Oh, it's still going wrong. It's like one big garbage pail. but we're working on it. It is an organic process. We've kind of almost ironed out the problems. We tend to there's still my camera. There's always something.
I've finally transitioned to using my microphone. So normally what we do is we'll simultaneously do our live streaming, but we'll be like a Google Hangout so that he can hear.
Or Skype.
He can hear me, I can hear him, people can hear us all.
Well, we provide a link to the people who are watching, and they can look at both at the same time.
Yeah, if I'm just doing it by myself, I feel like I'm sitting in a room and just talking to myself, and I'm like, my dog is there, like scratching his butt, and like, is down gonna pick up and hear that? Like you can hear like the clacking of my keyboards, and I'm just sitting here, and so like I've just been like really like hesitant to like want to put that down, and then it's like I hate hearing my own voice, like when you like leave a voicemail and like oh no, I sound dumb, like that's how I feel. So I've actually moved on to like I don't care.
I'm trying to pull her into like the modern age.
The people who are like, why are you typing all of your answers?
That's me. I'm telling you. Why are you typing all of your answers to them?
Well,
So our first stream just went awful. Is what we're trying to say.
you guys have been doing it a while. The first time I saw your stream, and it was that back and forth that by the time I guess I tuned in, you guys have got it down. So it was
Still working on it.
one of my favorite parts of your stream. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. Right, sorry. When you actually, we've been talking a lot about how people got started. Lisa, you mentioned earlier. It's all right. I don't mean to call anyone out, but I'll make it a general question. But what you said earlier reminded me of you have. It's not just you. Sometimes when you're streaming, you have like a team that you're working with, and actually, kind of in the way that Shaylin and Wes have, not just a monologue, but really like a dynamic that they have to coordinate on stream. How did you find that?
Well, the reason, when I stream, it's not just one person. It's one person doing stuff, and then the rest of the team is also on audio. And the way that happened was that my team happened to be very, very enthusiastic, and I was like, who wants to be on the first stream? And everybody wanted to be on the first stream. So I was like, well, we'll just, show this, but we can all be on audio together, because my team were really chatty and can't shut up. So it ended up working out really well because, you got a lot of dynamic conversations going, and when someone asked a question, there's a lot of discussion that came out of that. It ended up being really useful for whoever was actually doing the work if they needed to have a moment where they couldn't talk and just needed to focus on what they were doing, and the rest of us could cover. And I had a lot of people who watched the stream comment to me that it felt a bit like a podcast, like a hybrid between a live stream and a podcast, and they could, they were watching it, but they could also just listen and still get a lot out of it. And that just sort of evolved naturally out of my particular team's inability to shut up. So it worked. But it brings a point that every team that streams sort of has a different style to it, and that just happened to be our style. That we were very chatty, and we talked a lot about the questions and to each other and played off of each other, and it just felt really shared.
I really do think that every stream, whether it's a dev stream or just a stream, just sort of comes together around the person that's doing it.
Yeah.
Like our stream, we started doing streams with multiple people back in the days. We do multicast, so we'd have different people online at the same time. And then at some point we realized that we just talk shit at each other all the time. It's kind of amusing for the first 40 minutes, and after that you kind of get tired of all the back and forth stabbing. So it's kind of okay, you know what? We're just going to do one, and then if another person happens to be there, we'll just shout at each other for a bit, and then go back to work. And that's kind of what happens. I don't, because I travel a lot, I don't show up in the live streams very often, and when I do, the chat really appreciates that, and then JW tells me to fuck off and get out of the screen, and then we go back to work. So it's really kind of, I'm actually really sad that I'm not on the stream more often, because I really like the live stream, but the dynamic that grew for us was we started with multiple people, and then we honed it down to having streams that were specifically about one expertise. So we'd have a musician stream, and then the next, Tuesday the musician stream, Thursday the artist stream, and then Tuesday the JW stream, the programmer, and then Thursday I would stream, and then we just sort of switch around. And that worked out really well. I think the sort of consistent project, so it's always the same project, but different people, different expertises, really seem to work for people.
So I basically am the only person who streams. Christian
I'm the only
streams
streamer. You have a good stream.
I have a good streaming face, yeah. It's
If you put Age on there,
no, it just falls apart immediately. But I mean, we have a lot of guests on the show, especially comedians, like I was saying. We do a comedy joke writing game called Let's Quip. So I've done stand-up in the past, so I bring a lot of stand-up comedians, national touring acts that are coming through Boston, as well as local Boston comedians, and bring them on. And that's really, really good, because largely they're not even gamers. They're just people who just come on and they're just having a fun time joking. I did realize after the first probably about 3 months that a lot of comedians who were really, really good were really, really bad on the show. And then it took me a long time to figure out what it was, and it was that while we're streaming, we're standing at my stand-up desk in my office, and there's the camera on us, and then you have the chat room and the screen over here, and then you have our game on the other monitor. They were able to see how many people were watching the show at any given time, and there's no right number for a guest. If it's 5 people or 20 people, they're like, oh god, nobody's watching the show. If it's 2,500 people, they freak out. So there's literally no good number in the middle that you're going to find ever. So now I just kind of covered up with a Post-it. and now the performances I get out of my stand-up comedians who come on is like 1,000 times better because they're not self-conscious. They don't even really notice that they're even performing to anybody. They're just there and having a good time. It's a nice chat, but that took a really long time to sort of figure out.
So, well, yeah, when you are when you're finding out like what doesn't work and what does work in that nature, how much of that do you guys like plan when you're before a stream? How much of what you present is something that you had in mind that you brought with you into the stream versus how much of it is just like on the spot, like how about this?
100% that last one. Planning is the worst thing you could do because it won't happen. It's just setting yourself up for a thing that won't happen.
It's like, okay, this week Dave's going to stream something art related, and then maybe that day Dave's like, I'm going to work on this, and then that just happens. But other than that, it's like totally improv, which actually going in we before we went in the stream, like the team was like, okay, we're going to obey these improv rules while we stream. So it was very much an improv endeavor. But yeah, other than who's going to stream and kind of maybe what they're going to work on, it's just like whatever happens.
For some reason, I just see you guys teaching a yes and class.
No,
I mean,
like you said that you guys like dig at each other a lot. We had rules. We're like, okay, we're not going to dig at each other. We're going to follow all the improv rules.
So good.
We're going to do the yes and. We're going to be fun to play with. We're going to serve the narrative. Like ahead of time, we're all agreeing to be like this on the stream.
We just turned on a camera. Well, let's see what happens. No, but that's honestly very much still how it goes. Like on Tuesday, and we have like a team chat, and in the team chat it'd just be like, "Who's streaming today?" And it's like, "What? The stream is starting in like 45 minutes," and JW like puts on his clothes instead of his pajama, and goes just to the office, and it's just like, "Hi, everybody!" And then every now and then JW will just like text me and be like, "Hey, you're doing the stream today, right?" I'm like, "Am I?"
Yes, now.
He's like, "Yeah." I'm in Berlin. He's like, "Oh, okay." No, we don't plan anything. Like we kind of let the game plan it. I feel like so for us, we see Twitch we see Twitch as sort of an extension of interactivity and as a way to demystify game development. So for us, it's very much like we like to take the game and like treat it like a. I have a thing with tree metaphors. Okay, we treat it like a bit of a sapling, right? It's like a little young tree, and it kind of just wants to grow in a direction. So we just kind of let it grow, because we feel every time we try to like correct it, it just kind of breaks, and we have to like go back a bit and then start from there again. So we just kind of went like, okay, let's just do shit and see what happens. And if people all hate it and like the viewer count goes down by like 12,000% the next week, we probably just don't do that again. And that has worked out really well. Like we have no idea who streams every given day. Like that's why the tweets from who's streaming always happen like 3 minutes before the thing goes live. We have no idea what we're going to stream about because we just see what work is up for the person that ends up streaming. We just turn on the camera and go and see what happens. And for us, that has worked really well, and then we just let the chat take it from there.
We kind of do the same thing. We just turn on the camera, and like if we have something to do, we always have something.
For us, it's really easy because we're artists, so it's like whatever we're working on at the time. If we feel like that's something we want people to watch, or alternately, if we want to punish people by making
them watch our stream.
Like, oh, you know what? We're artists, that's great. But like doing like UVs and topology and making it normal, that's part of it too, and it's important. And you need to watch us do that because that's important. So
and those are the streams we get like you. Wow. We have bored our audience to death.
So we actually do try to like focus on the things that are interesting. Like I try to avoid if I have to do a lot of concepting or something. I usually think like I'll get that done before I start. But then I'm just doing the art part.
The art part's the easy part. I like that. It's the ideas that are nice sometimes.
But yeah, the stupid parts are important too. Someone wants to watch that. So
like 2 people want to watch that.
We really found the same thing though. Like when we started, we were like, nobody's gonna watch us fix a bug, and then totally
And then people
were
watched, yeah.
Then people were totally watching us fix a bug, as long as we like chat it and
Yeah,
like
I've been very
acknowledged.
surprised actually lately because we've been building our audience up a little bit, and like people will stay there while I'm doing like the animating, or not the animating, the UVing and the like steps that are traditionally thought of as like the dull parts. And they're like, oh yeah, you should do that. You should put it in that
fucking
corner.
fucking frustrates me about game development though. Like if you have like the fancy the thing, one of the things I like about live streaming is that it's raw. So normally when you have like a game development documentary, they go like, oh yeah, so you make a character, and then they show like a concept art drawing, and then they show somebody in like a motion capture suit, and then it's like 3D model, and I'm like, listen, you just skip like 3 weeks between the concept art and the model like existing at all. And then you missed the rigging, you missed all of that, and then you just applied motion data
it's
to it.
all
Like,
the fun
you
parts.
can't apply motion data to a drawing. That's not how it works. But like,
Man, if it could though, if you could.
that would be awesome. But that's kind of like one of the things I really hated about where the industry was a few years ago, was that game development was becoming so accessible, and yet we were still presenting it as like a magic fairy thing. Like, I don't know, did anybody watch the Microsoft Spark announcement? Project Spark announcement, where it's like this, they made this video of like to present it, and I understand why they did it. Like, I'm not super upset at them, but it was like this video of like a knight running through like a pretty like grassy field, and then suddenly the world ended, and he's like, oh, this part of the level isn't done, and then like a magical blue fucking fairy appears, and it's going like, yeah, let me just go on, here's the rest of the fucking video game. And I'm like, listen, you just turned my life into a blue magical fairy that just fucking snips the fingers, and then like work appears. And I hated that, because like you can make games nowadays. It's doable. You can do it. You just download a program, and then you shout at the computer for fucking 6 months. Yeah. And then eventually,
mostly screaming.
Yeah. Eventually video games happen, right? But like so much of game development is like mystified still. It's like, oh yeah, no, you have a PC game, you want to put it on PlayStation, you just go to Unity and hit the button, and PlayStation is done. Like, it's so frustrating, because it is really hard, but people have learned that, right? Like, well, why isn't Nuclear Throne on PlayStation? Well, because it's fucking 12 months of work on certification. That's why it's not on PlayStation, and we can't do the weekly updates there, because cert takes 3 weeks. Like, if you get really, really lucky, between the time you send the build to PlayStation and the game coming out, that's 3 weeks. We update weekly. If we have 3 of those in process at the same time, we get 3 feedback documents back at the same time that we all need to fix before we send the new one. So we're just like putting a lot of work on Sony and on ourselves that isn't necessary. That's why it's not there. But we have to explain that at this point, because everybody was thought, well, why don't you just hit the button in Unity? Well, Nuclear Throne isn't in fucking Unity. That's why we don't hit the fucking button in Unity. I hear that for AAA games, where people go like, why isn't this game available on that? Well, why is it Rise on PlayStation?
You developed it on PC, why is it on PC?
Murder.
I agree.
When like dealing with those topics, or just I guess any on a live stream, how do you involve your audience in the process, which, as has been described, is something that like a game developer would understand intimately, whereas the audience could understand or might have no idea at all. What sort of engagement do you encourage in your stream amongst your viewers?
So we sort of take the approach that we sort of agreed ahead of time, like when we were talking about stuff, to just assume that maybe speak to the person in the audience that doesn't know anything but is really curious. So we made it very specific about explaining why we did certain things, or a little more in depth, and then we just sort of like see where it goes. And there's a lot of surprises of what people are interested in. Like we did a stream once towards the end where we're like, we're gonna show tuning and balancing, and we're gonna do spreadsheets episode. And it's going to be this boring thing. We're like, this is going to be so boring, no one's going to show up, but we're just going to do it. And my God, it was like the most popular episode. People were fascinated. They're fascinated with, I had Liz on who was helping me tune and balance, and it was literally just the whole episode with spreadsheets. And people were just amazed. They were like, asking all these questions, they were like, I had no idea. So much went into such a simple game for tuning and balancing. And I was just like, I could not have predicted that. I was like, I know I can't guess anything anymore, because I was certain that it was going to be super boring and we'd have like 2 viewers, but people were into it. So I take the approach of not assuming anything and just sort of letting the questions come and letting that lead us down the course, because sometimes people are really interested in a certain path and I'm like, this is so boring, why are you guys care about this? They're totally into it. So I don't assume anything and just let the audience questions lead us along the way.
Yeah, one of our top rated episodes ever was when we were making Let's Quit. So the idea behind the game is two players go into a match and they're given a random word from a list of 2,000 words. And at first it started with just my partner Shareth and I coming up with the words ourselves, and then we're like, you know what, let's just do this on Twitch, and then anybody who comes in the chat room can just start screaming out words. So we just had a spreadsheet with all of our words on it, and then just streamed that with our 2 heads in the corner. And then people who had no idea what the game was, did not care what the game was, just started coming in and shouting out words and being really enjoying it. And it became one of our biggest things. We started doing it twice a week for about a month and a half.
You encourage people to stream words in your chat?
Yeah.
On Twitch?
No, no, but it was just like, say a random word. But they were like, I don't know what this is.
Have
but,
you ever read a Twitch chat?
No, I have. But
You basically just asked them to be Twitch chat.
That is true. But it was really kind of incredible. It was amazing, and they loved it, and that ended up being one of the funnest things Shareth and I did, because it just was so bizarre. But they liked bizarre.
We had a similar experience when we decided, I'm terrible at naming things.
Oh God, that's what I was going to say.
So I was like, let's let the stream name our characters. So I was like, put a picture of the bull up there, and it was like, suggest names.
Kappa.
You know, suggest names, we'll collect them all, we'll talk about them. People, they were totally into it, and so it worked so well that we're like, oh, I'm just going to have to name all the characters. It's going to be worse than anything. But then they felt like ownership. They felt invested because they had helped.
Yeah, I think player ownership is one of the more important things that Twitch actually offers. Like, people can own what they see you make, which is pretty cool for a game. Like, and they own the process too. They're very invested in what you're doing, which is great. We've had some success in having the streamcast name our sets, because we hate naming things. We just back off. Through the entire process, we just name it the Marana set we're working on right now.
Or give it some really obscene name. That
Yeah, something obviously not shippable.
Those are really good to have.
Yeah, the obscene names.
Yeah, well, they count as swears.
Yeah.
There's actually a really good story about that in game development, though. But I'll tell that some other time.
You name
or
something
later.
so bad that you can't ship with it, so that you have to rename it.
Yeah, but the good stories happen when you forget to take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been something I've done in my past life. There's an asset in here called I can't. Who did that? Who put that in the internet? It's 2004, and then I was the one who changed it. So
Way to go! Way to
that's the
go!
reason that
You're the fun stealer. Got it. Well, we try to get the cast to name things in our stream. The other day I was sculpting a Medusa, and I had all of these different various snakes, and so I was like, okay, stream, let's name 3 snakes right now. Okay, let's go. And I think I ended up with Lefty, Snake 01, backup, final backup, and quite a few of these obviously stupid names, but they really love that. They love to own things.
Yeah, I think that's cool. We have very strict control over what goes into the game and what doesn't. We don't really do that. I think for us the stream is more of a we like knowing what people think and what they feel, and I think what for us is a bigger thing is explaining why certain things do or don't make it into the game. So explaining that we acknowledge the thought process but don't necessarily agree with it. We try to keep really strict ownership of Nuclear Throne ourselves. It's our game, and the people watching are a huge part of what the game means and what it is, but we make the game. Right? And we said that when we started on Early Access, because the game is also on Early Access, so it releases every week. A new update, and we said when we started on Early Access, listen, I know a lot of game developers give you this bullshit spiel about you get to make the game, and it's if I was watching a live stream of somebody building my car, I would not be like, no, put the steering wheel on the other side. We're the game designers. We've done this for like since we were like 6 years old. Like we really want to make this game, so we're gonna make this game. And if you say something really, really smart in the live chat, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, we didn't think about that. We should totally do that. But in the end, we want to make those calls because we want to make the game. And I actually think that the stream really appreciates that. I think people really appreciate that. That it's just like, hey, listen, that idea sounds cool in your head, but like, let's go through this and explain why that's a terrible idea. And that seems to work. People seem to like that.
Yeah, explaining why, acknowledging people's suggestions. Like, okay, yeah, we thought about it, but here's why that won't work. And then they're like, oh, because it's educational.
Well, it's like that thing you said before about assumptions. I think game developers are really good at not knowing what gamers know about game development. Like, we have no fucking idea. Like, our industry, like the games industry, is so full of jargon that we would have a hard time explaining anything about video games to any person in the world. For practice, I talk to my cab drivers whenever I'm in a city, and I just try and explain why video games are cool. Like the first 500 times I tried that, my cab driver just sort of tried to get me out of the cab. Yeah, no, sure, explain to me why headshots are cool. Yeah. But like eventually you kind of get that. But like for me, one of the my most eye-opening moments was when we added a new weapon very early on to nuclear phone, and we created a new bullet type, and JW was testing it, and the bullet fired and then went straight through a wall, and the stream chat just lost its mind. They're like, it went through the wall! No, that's intended. And they're like,
on purpose, guys.
Wait, what do you mean that's intended? We're like, well, we haven't programmed that it should hit a wall. And they're like, you have to program that? We're like, yeah, we have to program that. They're like, why don't you use Havoc? I'm like, it's Game Maker. Like, we don't have Havoc. We don't want to use Havoc in a 2D
even
pixel
then,
game.
it's not nothing.
Yeah,
it's not no amount.
No, exactly.
Here's a thing and here's a thing.
Starting to explain that was really cool because it just turns out that like some things that seem very logical to us are very surprising, and some things that seems very surprising to us are actually very logical to players. Right? So this is going to do that, and the players are like, yeah, we get that. Yeah. So, can you just talk about something cool now? We're like, okay.
No, I can't.
I'm doing this today.
Yeah, I'm so happy that I'm doing this, and players are like, yeah. Not important. Go fix these.
This is my life's work. Yeah. Can you move on to something cool?
I don't mean to cut anyone off in case you guys had something else to say. But we're getting pretty close to when the mic will open for questions. So if you guys want to start thinking about what you want to ask, I think we'll open that up in just a few minutes. I'm going to ask a few more. And if you guys had any other questions that you want to ask each other, or like just any final thoughts, feel free to jump in with those as well. Right. So with this dynamic that you get from streaming, has your overall approach to game development changed as a result of this experience?
So one thing that's changed for me that I actually talked about this at GEC, but something that surprised me about streaming was it was a lot of work to wrangle the streams together, and initially we were doing it very much for the community, for like the education on game development, but something that happened was it made my team super efficient because we suddenly were going to be showing our work, our unfinished work to the public every week, and it really made us efficient and focused on visible progress in what we were showing, and that was kind of a surprise to me how that helped my team work better, and so that sort of shaped how I think about development going on, like figuring out ways that the team can feel accountable to people that they care about, and it just makes the whole team run more efficiently. So that was a big insight for me personally.
I found that it does provide a nice like bookend. Like you say like, okay, I'm going to do all of this today, and it kind of gives you a place to shoot for, at least artistically.
We have like the opposite. For us, the bookend is like, so we update the game every week. So we have to do a public build every week. So our week looks like this. Tuesday is a live stream, so we lose that entire day, mostly except for the work we do on the live stream. Wednesday, we fix what we did on Tuesday. Then Thursday, we do another live stream. And Friday, we fix everything that needs to be fixed. Before Saturday, we hopefully upload the build. And if not, we just do damage control on Saturday, and then upload a build. if we manage to upload it on Saturday, Sunday is a day off. If we didn't, Sunday is a day of work, and then we upload it. And then on Monday, we reevaluate what we did the week before. So for us, like, the live streams are sort of like the middle of the fire. So like, you get into the week, you're like, yeah, good intentions. And then by Tuesday, you're like, holy fuck, what is happening? And then you do that twice a week. And then upload a build. It's great. It's video game development. It's such a structured, pleasant schedule.
Yeah. It's so easy to plan.
No fires.
Amazing.
So Collateral Damage was the first game we did that was Kickstarted, and we found that Chris going in and showing off what he's worked on that week, even if there's no major updates, really assures the people who backed the Kickstarter that this game is still going to happen. And it's still being worked on actively. They can see the things that are going into it, and I think that's been good because, I mean, it's a hard thing to trust. So getting to see it, I think, is really certainly.
We're really at a point where people are starting to understand that communicating with customers is a really good idea.
It's a really great idea.
Sometimes talking to them.
I've been advocating that for a really long time.
Such an amazing idea. Maybe just talk to people.
Yeah, here's the thing. Talk to them.
Nice. What a revolution. 2015, games industry. We finally fucking figured it out.
We finally figured out how to talk.
Yeah. So, given everything that came to us,
There's like a bunch of people here that go like, no. All right. Hey, some of us figured it out.
We play Valve games.
Hey, they don't talk about us.
Actually, if people do have questions, there's a microphone. It's like between the front and the back section. So you're welcome to line up.
If you have questions, please do the walk of shame towards the back. Or just shout the question and we'll repeat it. Either one will work. Oh, actually, somebody's doing it. Please look in the direction of the walk of shame. Almost there.
All right.
Did it! So impressive.
This is a really good question. I work with Twitch, and I just think it's really cool because I think that the gaming community is one of the most genuine communities I've ever seen. As far as going into like game dev streams and all, it's not really about like entertainment and putting on shows. It's actually learning and engaging with an audience as opposed to being a big streamer that plays video games or whatever like that. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I think it's really cool, and I think that this panel is really cool.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I think, to go to the point of that, I think actually the best streams that I see tend to feel really genuine, both in game dev and just general like game streams. Like, there's people that sort of do that thing where they put on a show, and for some people that works really well, but I feel the streams I like are just genuine, so we just try and do that as well. And sometimes some streamers just are big assholes to me, and then like, go with that as well, right? Right, Star? Yeah. Hey. It's nice that I finally have the microphone. This is so exciting.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Question.
Ways you interact with your customers differ. And I'm also curious about how the legend you kind of have to concentrate on things that are sort of visually different. Like I think,
Yes.
or you think that you're in the bug mapping, like how do you sort of balance that? There are things that are sort of like technical that you have to do, like rigging, like rigging your models. But maybe it isn't that incredibly exciting. So how do you balance out sort of giving your audience visually cool and impressive versus sort of like the drudgery or the nuts and bolts of game development that maybe people aren't really aware of?
I forgot the first.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
Yeah, I think I'll catch it.
Okay, go.
I don't.
That was really well.
No.
Dev Divers.
It's more raw. Like we did devlogs in streaming, but the streaming is like it's just like you are there and you have to deal with whatever happens on stream, and it's very raw. Even like a devlog you have some control over like how you present
all control.
stuff. You know,
Yeah.
It's very in the moment,
Yeah.
like the stream.
Yeah, it's just like you just have to react to whatever happens, and you know, it's live. It feels real.
Right.
No, but because it is real.
Right.
That's
And
the
I think-
difference.
yeah,
Like
I
we
think
fucked up on a live stream. Like
Yeah.
a few thousand people have just seen me fuck up.
Which
like,
I
the
think
live
is
stream.
actually good. I think
Yeah, I love that,
all
yeah.
actually has a better narrative arc than like something that's like really slickly produced and stuff is cut out of it. I think that's sort of like you're seeing everything exactly how the sausage gets made, and part of that is the butcher's finger. Part of it's the butcher's finger, and that's a good ass story. Like,
Is that
we
like
mess
an
up
American
constantly.
phrase? I'm Dutch.
no,
Oh,
how the
you just
sausage
made
get
that
made.
up?
I used to make sausage.
Oh,
Finger
okay.
got stuck in
No,
there?
How many fingers do
one
you
of the
have?
butchers at my butcher shop did though.
Oh,
It
jeez.
happens. Have you ever seen a butcher that has all his fingers? No, you have not.
We make mistakes all the time, like constantly.
I don't want to
And-
know
And
about
I
this
like that
mistake.
though.
Back to the topic at hand.
Don't eat sausage.
The other question was about balancing like visual stuff with nuts and bolts stuff, and I think it for a lot of times when you're trying programming things, it helps to be able to show something where you can make a change and show it in the game, so that people, I guess, can see like the results of the problem you're trying to solve. That's sort of like that's helpful. Or if we were trudging along on something art, you know, sometimes we would be like, all right, well, let's jump back into and show how we put this in the game, just to like mix things up a little bit. But it wasn't really that planned. It was just sort of like, I feel things are a little sluggish. We'll just show something in the game to pick up the pace.
Yeah, and with art, it's cool too because like generally it looks really, really bad. Like until it starts to look good. So they get to see that whole thing. And so they're like, I'm always wondering like thinking, wow, you were so good at that. What are you doing? This looks terrible. But then just give me like 9 more hours. And then, but like showing that whole thing, like, it's kind of like you see the whole process. And I think even for a lot of people who are still like learning or they're studying art, like you can see that yeah, stuff does look like it looks pretty rough in the beginning. Like you sort of have to accept that. It's eventually you just keep working on it. A lot of people like they'll give up. Like
They'll give up like halfway through, and
yeah,
then they'll be like, "This is bad." And I'm like, "It is bad because we just didn't spend enough time." Yeah.
So I like to be able to show that.
For me, it's really the chat. Like for me, it's the community. The difference between like a devlog and the live chat is that live chat is immediate and you always get to talk. Like you just get to talk to people. For me, that's why I started live streaming. That's why I came up with the idea of Flounder live streaming. Is we want to talk to the people playing our games because events like this, like PAX, are so exciting because you just get to talk to people, and having that at home is awesome.
It's really easy to lose objectivity when you're making a game.
Well, I don't want objectivity when making a game.
No, I know, but I mean the ability to actually see your game for what it is. Sometimes
Oh,
you
yeah.
get so lost inside of it that you actually get nothing makes sense really anymore. But sometimes doing those streams helps you see your game again a little bit. No, it doesn't help him.
I have no fucking idea what the hell we're doing, but it's like really nice. Like, I mean, I like that about games. I actually really like that about the live stream is that people can so clearly see that we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, we're like, you know what we should do today? No. Like,
We don't know.
how about a weapon? It's like, sure, we'll just add another weapon. We're like, what should it be? Well, bigger. Okay, done. And we just do that, and then we have a live stream. And it's like, it's really fun to do that, and every now and then we suddenly get like a direction, and because we live stream so often, people can see that. Where it's like, so I'm just gonna do that way. Suddenly people see that. You see that accidentally just.
Too.
Like,
I'm worried.
yeah, I've really like long arms, but no, it's nice to have like that sort of. I think live streaming very often helps a lot with creative. Okay, I did this. You don't have to be scared of that. Okay. You know what? So we do this, and that's very nice because people can really see when we decide to make a movement or make a decision and go in a certain direction. And I think like having the people there to see all that, like over a longer period of time, and not only helps us explain what we're doing, but also helps them give feedback that's relevant at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's really nice.
Do you ever like watch another person's dev? Sorry, I'm gonna ask a question. Watch another person's dev stream and be like, you can make games like that? Sorry, as an example, you were working on what turned out to be a 2D image, but the approach that you took was to actually like fabricate all the 3D assets. I guess maybe it's because I don't work in that particular area of game development. That was like an approach that was entirely new to me. I just want to interject that I learned so much.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah, for sure.
Do we have another question?
Great, yes.
My question for you is, how much does the process of streaming during development affect the end product? Like, what, if you could guesstimate, I guess, because it's really not easy to say, oh, this was the result of dev streaming, this wasn't. But what sorts of things do you get out of the end product that you see and you wouldn't notice if you didn't showcase it to people and talk to people throughout the process?
We find way more bugs. Like, the process of live streaming actually helps us really find some bugs that we didn't notice were in there before, and which has been incredible. Like, because it's a pain in the ass when you find those bugs at the end. It's hard to find them in the middle.
Ironically, I think on its own, just like isolated, live streaming wouldn't have helped us that much. Because if we're just showing video, there's not that much there. I think for us, it's a combination of the live streaming and having the early access so people can play it and then come back to the stream and talk about that. And having people like, again, I'm going to use Star as an example, but like seeing him loop the game like 12 times or something, like that's really fun. Like we put that in like the nobody's ever going to fucking do this, so we don't care about that part of the game box. I like just seeing that this is now a casual thing that happens in our game. Like, oh yeah, I looped 3 times. Like, I can't even get past level 3. You're like level like 60. Like that doesn't make sense. So seeing how people break the game, so the live streams that other people do, the videos, the VODs that other people do, and then on top of that, the early access and the reviews and the Steam community and the live stream, all of that combined makes Nuclear Throne a good game. I think I can honestly say that if we did not have those, Nuclear Throne would be an okay game. But like what it is now, I'm so exceptionally proud of, and there is no way we could have done that without that constant like feedback loop from the people playing and in the chat.
For us, I think that, I mean, there were some pretty explicit things, like the naming of the characters, you know, that was pretty direct impact on the final results of the game. But otherwise, I don't think, you know, we're not in the same boat where we had it playable during the live stream, so it wasn't as direct, other than like how it affected the workflow of my team. But otherwise, no, there wasn't like a huge impact, other than, yeah, the audience named my characters for me because I'm terrible at naming things. So.
I don't think it has too much impact on us either, but it does keep us kind of sane. Like we will kind of cast from time to time. You know, when we cast it, we have a group of regulars who comes in, and those guys are really awesome. And you know, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, Wes, how you doing today?" Like, "Oh, I'm doing fine, thanks, man." Normal human conversation.
Normal human
or
conversation
abnormal.
sounds.
We get some normal. Yeah, I do.
That's cool. I like the voice. You should have done the entire panel work on it.
Next time I will. Next time I will.
Oh.
My question is, how do you start building following in the very beginning?
How do you start developing?
How do you start building following in the very beginning, which you've done for months that counts as only
We really tried to bring all of our other social media, like really promote all of our shows. We were sending out emails to Twitch, so Twitch knew that we were doing, and then tried to get onto the schedule for that to get promoted to the front page. Definitely just using our Twitter feed and our Facebook anytime we were going out, making sure that if we had guests on the show, that we're tweeting at them, so they're retweeting, and then they're bringing their audience to it. It's a slow thing over time to build. Like it wasn't instantaneous for us. It's just slowly building that audience.
Yeah.
We had I think a lot of us came from the Insomniac community already was interested, so we had a big chunk of our regulars was from that angle. And then we also did things like, I knew we were going to be streaming something that would be interesting to a specific audience. I reached out to them. Like one stream, I went over like all the different stages of the prototype, which I didn't construct to. So I like posted on the Sierra forums and I was like, hey, I'm going to be doing this live stream, and it's going to be a lot of construct 2 stuff. So if you guys are interested, stop by. And that was, got some people from that. But yeah, then a lot of it was just like the usual social requirements and whatnot.
Are you, sorry, if I could ask you, are you a developer? Are you a game? your game development. So what we found is really, really fun and also helps a lot is if you find people playing your game, head into their live stream and just hang out there and interact with them. Like it's really, really fun. B, you learn a lot about your game. And C, you inform people that, hey, I have a Twitch account. People seem to appreciate that a lot. But I think the word that is most important that you should get from Sean's explanation is slow. Like building a community in any way, whether you're a gamer or a developer, is not a thing that happens overnight. Like it looks like it happens overnight for a lot of the people here on this panel, because a lot of us leveraged our existing community and just asked them to come there. But building those communities in turn took years, right? So it's a very slow process. Twitch has a bunch of like really good guidelines, like stream for longer than an hour, because longer streams tend to attract more people. People hang out more. They sort of use it like a podcast in the background. Figure out. Yeah, explicitly ask people to follow you. Like it sounds really weird, but asking people to do something is very, very useful. Like if you just sit there and you go like, well, I hope you enjoyed my stream. They're like, yeah. And then they close the window. But if you go like, I hope you like my stream, please follow. They're like, okay, I can do that. So like asking explicitly helps. Streaming for multiple hours works. Having a schedule works really well. And then interact with the rest of the Twitch community, and not as like a promotional thing, but just because hopefully you care about this community and you think it's interesting, and just hang out and have fun. Like that, all those things help for us, and it makes life a lot of fun. So I just like. I couldn't quite hear that.
How do you avoid spamming? Coming off a little too heavy.
Oh yeah. So the best tip I have for that is to not be obnoxious.
I lean into being obnoxious.
Yeah. No, but it's true. Like.
Yeah, you can as long as you're not. That's not the only thing you're saying. People are more willing to pull it out with it. If you're just sort of like, oh yeah, by the way, this is Let's Quip, and also follow us. Every now and then, like every couple of minutes, or like every 5-10 minutes.
So in our own Twitch stream, we have a 5-minute block.
Yeah.
Like every 5 minutes, it'll repeat the same message. Or like we have 3 messages that loop through. One is like, who is streaming right now? The other one is like, please buy our game, please buy our game, please buy our game. And the other one is, please follow or subscribe. And like switching it around every now and then helps. If you're talking about being in other people's streams, basically make clear that you are the developer, and then just see what the stream does. Like every stream is different, and every stream's content is different, and every stream's personality is different. And in some streams, mentioning your own channel is a big no-no. And in other channels, that's totally fine. So just mention you're the dev of the game that's being played, and just be like, see what happens.
Yeah, we're out of time. I don't know if, sorry, that was abrupt. I wasn't paying attention.
If you like the stream.
Yeah, sometimes there's additional questions that can be answered. We'll probably have to clear out of this room at some point, but some of us might stick around. If you have other questions, or you just want to say hi after the panel, that'd be cool.
If you enjoyed this live stream, please follow.
Yeah, please follow us.
Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for being on.